Hello everyone again. Happy holidays. For some of us here around our virtual table, it's already the 25th, so it's also officially Christmas in the parts of the world that don't adhere to the true tradition, as we do have it in Germany, where the 24th is the important day. So, hello. Thank you for joining us today, both as players and, of course, as GM. Because we think about, oh, let's do something live on the 24th because, well, we usually just hang around anyways. And then who is going to be strange enough to play a role-playing game with us on the 24th? And these lovely people are absolutely willing, obviously, and happy, or pretend to be happy in Michael's case, to be with us and to play with us. So we've got Jason here, Jason Durall.
Hello.
Might have seen him in other videos of ours or at ModCon, and we've talked with him and several colleagues about game design, for instance. And today Jason is here as a line director? No, line editor.
Line editor.
Line editor of the upcoming Dune Adventures in the Imperium RPG, which is going to be a Modiphius game, a 2D20 game. And that's what we're going to run today. So Jason was nice enough to prepare an adventure for us. So where are we going to go? Which part of the Imperium are we going to see?
Well, this adventure is set on Arrakis, Dune, the desert planet. And so, yes, we will be playing an adventure set at that time. So yes, I mean, what I can tell you about Dune, the setting, is the year is 10,190. It is the Imperium, this vast galactic empire ruled by a sort of a feudal caste system that is driven primarily by a noble group of houses called the Landsraad. You will be playing characters associated with House Atreides, which is the a sort of a second-tier minor house in the Landsraad, but moving up in prominence. The most important thing to remember about the setting of Dune and the Imperium is that because of the vast size of the universe, the only way you can travel between planets, really, between solar systems, is via sort of faster than light travel. And the only way you can calculate the ability to do that is if you have this sort of prescience, if you can calculate this unbelievable number of odds so that you don't end up like smashing into a star or something like that. And to do that, you need this substance that awakens your mind. And that substance is called the spice melange, or the spice. The spice, it enhances perception, it increases longevity, it allows humans to unlock all sorts of potential that makes them do all sorts of amazing things. And so, but basically this entire galactic I shouldn't say galactic empire, this gigantic empire, this Imperium, has like the most precious substance in the Imperium is the spice. Like the Imperial Solari, their coin, is set to the value of what the spice is worth at any given time. That's how important it is. Now, in order to do this space travel, one must be heavily mutated by the spice, which is the role of the Spacing Guild. Their guild navigators are humans that were once, well, they were once humans, now they're something else, and they allow you to travel across the universe in their special ships. So where this is relevant to you is that as retainers and loyalists to House Atreides, formerly from the planet Caladan, a watery sort of medieval world, you have been given the exclusive rights to mine spice and harvest spice on the planet Arrakis, also known as Dune. And so this is an enormous responsibility. And it also paints a target on your house's forehead, because every other house in the Imperium, in the Landsraad, wants to possess and control the spice. It is suspected that you being given the spice is a trap, that you are intended to fail. But you must go anyway, because the Emperor, the one thing about him you should know is, because you're basically in a system of galactic feudalism, the Emperor owns everything. He owns all of the planets, all of the ships, all of the buildings, everything. And every bit of, when he tells you your house to do something, you do it. You have independent and free will, and of course there's all sorts of conspiracy and conniving and politics involved. But ultimately, you are servants of the Emperor first and foremost, and then your house secondly. Now, I would like each of you, if you could, to give me a very quick introduction, both to yourself, if you feel like saying some personal items, and tell me who you'll be playing today.
Yeah. Should we start with Eevie? Her character's already up on screen. So, hello, Eevie. Thank you for being here. People probably who are watching probably know Eevie because she's playing several games with us. And also she's a very nice person, and I really like to play with her. So I'm happy that she's got time today. And you are playing Talia Corral.
Which is right.
A great name.
It is. It does sound like she is destined for great things. And right now she is serving as a fetch and carry henchwoman for House Atreides, but she's not your average henchwoman, mind. She has a shady past that hopefully no one knows about, and used to sustain herself with a bit of petty crime and smuggling.
And now she's doing petty crime and smuggling for House Atreides?
Well, hopefully not, but we'll see.
Then, hi, I'm Myri. You probably already know that if you're watching our channel. Anyways, I am playing Sharafel, and she's a Mentat. And Mentat have the kind of people... You start out as a normal human, but Mentat is a training that basically allows you to fulfill several roles that usually in other science fiction settings would be taken over by computers. But one of the things unique to the setting of Dune is that intelligent machines are outlawed for reasons. So Mentat are people who are very good at remembering information, at collating information and cross-referencing it and calculating. So I think, Jason, you described it as a little bit of like a Sherlock Holmes way of thinking and of cross-referencing and noticing details.
Yes, you're processing data all the time, collecting information, making intuitive leaps that an average person couldn't. And they serve a very important purpose, of course, because they can actually, well, her job is to look at all the data from Arrakis about the spice production, if everything adds up, literally. And she can, because other people probably can't, because they either need a calculator or lots of paper, but she could just basically flip through and just remember everything. Let's see how that works out role-playing wise. And she's a young Mentat. She's pretty fresh out of the schooling and the conditioning that goes with being a Mentat, and now she's working under one of the best known and one of the best Mentats in the Imperium, Thufir Habat. And well, I think she's pretty happy to not have him looking over her shoulder all the time now that she's been sent ahead to Arrakis. Let's see. Then our last player for today is Michael, who's living in the future. It's already the next day where you are in Perth, Australia. Thank you for being here. You are the dead Aussie gamer, although you pretty much look alive. That's just a pun on your internet, I think.
What do you usually do?
Yes. No, it's mostly my internet or the demeanor of most of my characters, the way my dice roll some days.
We usually see you playing your own games, jamming your own games on your channel, the That Was a Gamer channel, both on YouTube and on Twitch. And you have been nice enough to play with us and to invite us to your game several times now, and I'm happy that you are here. And actually, 1 year ago, I was in Perth, and I'm really missing it right now, so it's very good to see
we
you.
miss you too.
Yeah. You're playing. let me get up your character on screen. You are playing Marcus. Who's Marcus? What does he do?
Well, Marcus Sin is a soldier from the House of Atreides. He is a man with a skill both sharp in wit, cunning, and sword. He was singled out for his skills by Duncan Idaho, a notable swordsman of the House of Atreides himself, and it is in Marcus's best interest to use everything he can in order to try and prove that he was worthy of such attention. He is a rather impetuous individual, as some might say, as well as very shrewd as well. His overall ambition is to one day become a swords master of the House of Atreides, to honor both himself and his master.
Excellent. So, well, I should tell you again, the year is 10,190 AG after the foundation of the Spacing Guild by the Imperial calendar. You are all part of the first wave of Atreides followers to come down to Arrakis. You have landed in the city of Arrakeen. This happened, perhaps a couple of days ago, even weeks ago. It's not particularly relevant, but you haven't been here for very long. You went from a watery world full of lush forests, near constant rain and fog and sea life and just teeming with life and vigor, to this hot, arid, sometimes seemingly lifeless planet in the desert. The city of Arrakeen is very, very, I would say, engineered to try to withstand these giant sandstorms that rage across the world. It's everything is, there's sand everywhere. The culture of Arrakis is mostly made up of the people they are called peons, is the imperial term for natives of the planet. They're all human, and there are basically two types. There are the city people who are, laborers and all manner of different craftspeople and tradespeople. And then there are the Fremen, an elusive and mysterious desert folk that are very fanatical and very difficult to control. No one is sure how many there are. They live out in remote little sieges, these little communities out in the desert, and they interact with the people of the cities to some degree. Some of them take jobs and work within the cities and then go back to their sieges at night. Some of them live there for periods of time and then go back. The thing you should know that is looming is this: when House Atreides received the honor of managing Arrakis and extracting spice from its sands, the previous stewards of the planet were the Harkonnens, a fairly powerful, much more powerful house, known for their brutality and their cruelty. They ruled Arrakis with an iron fist, and when they left, they were not loved by the people of Arrakis. So you have arrived as sort of the new guard, and everyone on the planet, the two major cities, Arrakeen and Carthage, Carthag was the Harkonnen stronghold city, and you're in Arakeen, which was is an older city that's a little more traditional. And everyone on the planet is curious, will this new management be the same as the old, you know? So there you go. All right. Let me see. So you are all, let me check something here for a moment. Okay, I've got my notes handy and I'm jumping between two computers at the moment. So if I seem a little scattered, I apologize. You are all summoned to what's going on here? Okay. You are all of you summoned to, you're in the residence of the, of Dune, the Imperial residence. This is where the Imperial governor lives on the planet. And you are summoned one day to the office of a man named Fedor. He is a, see something here. Fedor is a commander of the troops, the first group of troops to have landed with you all. He would like to speak with you each together. You're all asked to go at the same time. Now, the thing you notice about the residence is it's the governor's residence. It's a magnificent palace, and you find yourself with you know, troops are coming through. Everywhere the place is being stripped and examined. Security forces are scanning every element of it, searching for any sort of Harkonnen tricks or booby traps or any surveillance devices that they may have left. So you know each other, I should say. You've all served House Atreides for several years, if not longer, and you all arrive at Fedor's door. What are you doing?
I guess Shara is trying to soak up any little information, any little things she can notice about where this person lives, where Fedor lives, what the surrounding area looks like, have the troops been through this area or not, and also checking that everything she needs to have with her, she does have, like the shield belt, things like that, and all the papers that she needs.
Okay, yeah, you noticed, like, it is a beehive of activity here. Thufar Hawat sent you along because he's a good person, a good set of eyes on the ground, and also you have considerable skill in logistics. You need to assess the condition of the residents and of the spice harvesting operation here. And you also notice that everyone is very, very tense. You know, because you never know. There have been a few explosions. There have been a few clear traps to make things rough for you. You have heard rumors that the Harkonnens tried to sabotage as much of the spice production as they could before they left. They were the worst case tenants, so to speak. Trashed the place before they left. And so you're always on alert here, which is very different from your experience on Caladan, which felt very comfortable and home-like. Talia, how about you?
I would just like loiter around the place, really, keep an open eye, see if there's any gossip or if people move funny, do funny things, anything noticeable, really.
All right. Yes, everyone is. There's a lot of strangers as well. Right now, there is a whole move to try to staff up the place because, of course, no employees of the Harkonnens, and they don't want any of them. So they've got to get new servants, new craftspeople coming in to build things, and the first wave of the Atreides were mostly logistics and military, people to secure the area and make things solid. You have been sort of paying attention and probably involved with some of the hiring, like to determine who's trustworthy and who's not. and your other illicit skills might have come into play for things like finding booby traps or deciding like where would this where would the Harkonnens have put some device or something, some surveillance device. And so you've been quite busy. And yeah, there's, like I say, a lot of soldiers in Atreides garments running around everywhere, and everyone's got weapons, Mala pistols, and shield belts on, although you have been warned, of course, you should never wear shield belts out in the desert, which is a significant weakness because much of the Atreides fighting style is all about using knives and shield belts.
Shame.
Good thing we're not out in the desert.
No, you're in the middle of a big, sprawling city of hundreds and thousands of people. It's you'll be fine.
A better place to be.
Yes. Swordmaster Sin, please tell me, how do you arrive at Fedor's quarters?
So much against the sensible approach of approaching on a planet that is filled with dry red sand. Marcus Sin is dressed in white Atreides swords garb armor, which he regrets almost the instant he steps and is beaten by the hot winds and sands of this rather oppressive place. He turns to his companions and says, "Strange. I would have thought that a place like this, with the Harkonnens already having come and gone, there would be nothing here. But look, we have bounties of sand."
Are you being sarcastic?
Yes.
Oh,
Trust
thank
the
you.
Mentat to be able to let nothing go over her head.
Yes.
That-
Trust her. Would you please knock?
Now, this place is a hive of misdemeanors, and I think that one there might be up to no good. Perhaps I think we may need to find ourselves a place to conduct ourselves of relative safety, maybe off the streets.
Are we not supposed to talk to this Fedor?
Yeah. You're at
Here.
Fedor. You're in the.
Oh, we're at Fedor's. Oh, I thought we were in the streets
Already
looking
got
for
it.
Fedor's.
No.
Oh, okay.
You're
Oh,
home.
behold, Fedor's.
Yes. You gathered outside Fedor's, his quarters and office within the residency, sort of at the barracks that have been erected there.
Right. Well, where are his servants? Where are his attendants? Where are the people to come and greet us? There is nothing here.
Well,
Are we to mill about this man's home until someone has given us the appropriate attention? Do they not know that Swordmaster Sin has arrived? Swordmaster Apprentice Sin.
Oh, wow. While you're waffling on, I would like to wave to someone who seems like he's working there, or a person who seems like they actually belong to the household and could help us out with that.
all right. Well, at this point, you're all spared the difficulty. The door opens, and Fedor, he says, "I heard you outside. Come. He's a very hard-bitten man. He's got some light body armor and an Atreides uniform with the Atreides stylized hawk on his upper breast. Yes, he is all gray and a Caladan native who is clearly not very comfortable here on the planet, much like yourselves. He has a handkerchief he's dapping sweat off of his face with, and a small bottle of water is sitting on his desk. You have, of course, all been told that you need to hydrate all the time because otherwise, water and the possession of water is life and death on Arrakis, desert planet. So he gestures at you. There is a long bench in front of his makeshift desk, and you can tell that he has not been sleeping much lately. He's got a lot of stubble on his face and circles under his eyes, and there's a map of the residency on his desk and a lot of papers everywhere.
You wanted to talk to us. Greetings. This is Swordmaster Apprentice Marcussin, as you probably heard.
Yes, one of Idaho's men, right?
That is correct.
Yes, he'll be with the second wave. So I think you should probably, help me get things as ready for him as possible.
This is Talia Corral. She will be helping out, and I have been sent by Thufir Hawat to look over, and she gestures to all the papers, all the information that we already have amassed about the state of affairs and the state of spice production. Sharafel is the name. May we enter, or...?
Yeah, come in, sit down. There's
Yes.
a bench in front of you, and he gestures to you and pours you each some water, if you would like.
Very gracious.
All right. He says, yes, as you know, we've, you were on the Guild Highliner that came across the galaxy and landed not that long ago, and it's been a flurry of activity since they arrived, since you all arrived. There will be a second wave in a few months, and that's the ship that Duncan Idaho, Marcussin's master, will be on, and then the third wave will be the the royal household, which is all of the Atreides nobles, and Thupfir Hawat, your master, Sharafel. So, excuse me. Yes, Fedor, he tells you the Atreides Propaganda Corps is working to try to convert the hearts and minds of the Arakeen citizens, but I'm afraid our situation is fairly grim here. As you know, he says, we're coming in at a serious disadvantage. When the Harkonnens left, spice production was at a high. They ruled the planet with an iron fist and were brutal in their management and their oversight. And so they were able to pull 10 billion Solaris worth of spice out of this planet every solar year. That is an astonishing amount of money. Some of that, I'm sure, went into their secret reserves. The Emperor will not be pleased if our own production drops significantly. But as your assessment, Miss Mentat fell, he says, as your assessment has indicated, the spice production has been sabotaged, it has been crippled, it has been hindered, key people have been fired or gone missing or driven away. Harkonnen thugs have reduced spice production to a trickle.
How big is the trickle we are talking about? How many percent of the former spice productions can we actually generate at the moment?
Currently, less than 15% from what it was previous. Many of the spice harvesters and carryalls have been neglected under the Harkonnens. They were running a very bare bones operation, but they have been, in some cases, damaged, run down, and in some cases simply crippled to the point where they will need extensive repairs. So the Atreides are investing billions of their own funds in rebuilding the fleet, new harvesters, new spice production facilities. We're trying like mad to try to recruit more workers, because these are highly skilled workers who know how to harvest and gather and produce the spice from the desert sands. And he says, we're hoping that we can use some of our own spice reserve to supplant what we are turning over to the Emperor. So he says, but if there is any other means of getting hold of any spice caches, this would help us considerably and give us a little bit of breathing room. Now, I have been told that a stone merchant in town, a woman named Jan Azad, that she might be of use to us. She is as I say, a stone merchant. He brings stone in from a quarry out on the false wall to the south of us. But she also claims, or rather it is said, that she knows considerable amounts about how the Harkonnens operated, and she knows where we can lay our hands on some of their spice reserves. Secret spice, basically spice that they had warehoused and lost track of.
They lost track of spice. That is a really bare bones operation they have been running here.
Well, they believe that they will be able to return. And we intend to deny them that. But also, they've had some trouble with the smugglers. And so sometimes spice production has moved, sometimes they left it here because they very specifically wished to prepare, to smooth things over with the Emperor, to say, oh, look, the Atreides are not able to do the job. We even know where there's more spice to be had, should they return. And furthermore, there's always the possibility, as you know, that this could be a trap.
Well, for a trap, we have Marcus. And for talking to personages like smugglers and maybe grayer characters, we have Talia, right? So, do we find this genocide?
She has an office in the city and a quarry out on the false wall to the south of the city, some hundreds of kilometers away. So go to her residence, her estate within town, speak with her. If she is connected with smugglers, we need to know. We need to know more about them. They are a mystery to us. How many smugglers are operating? How much spice is coming and going from the planet? How infiltrated are they in the spice production industry here? Even though all spice that leaves the planet must go through the Spacing Guild, it seems that black market spice is leaving the planet's surface, and it is not being tracked. Now, Duke Leto Atreides, our master, he believes that the Emperor is secretly using the smugglers to get spice to himself. 15 years ago, he embarked on what they call the Great Spice War. You would all know about this. This is an out-of-character comment. And where the Emperor basically sort of pitted all the houses against one another to try to drive out their, to have them burn through their spice reserves. And so the Harkonnens made things incredibly difficult and crippled spice production for a while. So all of the various houses had to dip into their private stock. Now, everyone is still recovering a bit from that. So, and a lot of people just secreted spice all over the place, put it in little hidey holes everywhere. And this could be an opportunity to get hold of one or more of those.
Absolutely.
So, yes. So Fedor tells you then, go and speak to this woman, Jan Azad. Find out what she knows about the smugglers, about how much spice she can lay her hands on, and if this is more than a single instance, how much can she bring us? What can she do for us? She could be a valuable ally, and if she is not, then we should learn what threat she possesses.
Do you have any guidelines on what we could offer her to sway her to working with us, or should we just use our own?
He basically says, I'm going to set aside a discretionary fund of up to 3 million Solaris. I would encourage you to use as little of that as possible.
We could also offer her, if we find out that she is a smuggler, clemency for her and her friends, things like that, I guess would be possible. He sort of
looks slyly to the side, and he says, of course, the smuggling is illegal in the Imperium, and collaborating with smugglers is absolutely not acceptable and would constitute a breach of imperial law. That said, sometimes things can be arranged, and sometimes things can be understood and communicated that do not necessarily need to be written down or formalized.
I understand.
I'm afraid I'm not so keen on the idea of perhaps cutting deals, but perhaps a subterfuge of some kind might lure us to the people responsible. Tell me, will we be able to perhaps secure a portion of the spice reserves already mined and extracted? We might be able to use it in order to curry favor as a potential client for the smugglers. Maybe use it to get deeper into whatever operation they seem to be playing.
He says that that is not something that he can authorize ahead of time, but that he is willing to consider should it become a possibility. He gives you leeway. Now, as agents of the Atreides, you each of you come highly recommended, and you're practically at a level, you're sort of peers with him. He's just a member of the House Guard, and you each are sort of specialists in your fields. And so he basically says you have some leeway in negotiating with this person, should she be a smuggler or not.
Good. We will consider that. Thank you for the information, for the water and your time. I think we should leave and work on this as soon as possible.
Yes.
Good.
And he says, I encourage you to learn all you can about the streets, about the city itself. Her estate is not far from here, so he says this is a wonderful opportunity to acquaint yourself with our new home.
Do you have a map, perchance?
Yes, he shows you. He pulls out a big plastic screen map of Arrakeen, and shows you exactly where her estate is at.
Then
yeah, it's probably a 20-minute walk away.
Sharat leans over and studies without speaking, studies the map without moving for 1 or 2 minutes, then nods. Thank you. We can leave.
Can I take this map just in case?
Yeah, he shrugs, and it folds up. It's made of a special plastic that folds up incredibly tiny and flat. It's sort of a micro thin paper, and so yes, it literally folds up to like something, just a small tablet, and he hands it over to you.
Beautiful, thank you very much.
And he's got more.
Then we leave you to
we'll
your
meet again.
Other duties. Exactly.
All right.
We will meet again. Let's go. So outside, she orients herself for a second and then just strides off without looking over her shoulder what the other people are doing.
As Marcus sort of steps out and closes the door behind, he turns to Talia and says, Talia, you were quite quiet in there. I'm sure that your wisdom has a few things going on. What crosses your mind? And we'll just sort of keep a pace behind Sarah.
Yeah, we shouldn't let her walk off on her own.
She's already turning the first left. Just.
Yeah, I was thinking. I do think a lot. I know I don't look like that, really, but I'd like to have a good think about things before I approach unknown terrain, right? And this is pretty much new for everyone. So I was thinking we could potentially get more information before we actually go to this woman, so we should really stop her from walking there directly.
I mean, it was what, like a couple of minutes away?
About 20.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
we have a bit of time. Did you have any people you thought that maybe would glean some insight into Miss what was her name?
Azad. Jan
Azad.
Azad.
Jan Azad.
Yeah, I was thinking. So after we got here, I met this guy in one of the water dispensing units, and I think he might be able to know her or maybe get us information on her. So I think I would check in with him, see what he knows, or see if he can recommend anyone who knows something.
All right.
And I am also acquainted with some of the mercenary guilds. Well, perhaps we should see if Miss Sarafel also has a few contacts in town before we arrive at Miss Azad's abode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a bad idea.
Marcus will hasten the pace a little bit until she's within earshot.
All right, so tell me which way you're going and who you're going to talk to.
And if you want to know about contacts, I do have contacts with people from the spice mining community. I do not know whether they could tell us a lot about the actual smuggling. I think they are more about how is the spice actually extracted. But if
they're the ones who are extracting the spice, perhaps rather than knowing about the smugglers directly, they might know about spice that has mysteriously gone missing. If anyone could account for how much spice is in the planet, it would be the ones who pull it from its core itself.
You're right. And she says it in a way that might insinuate that she's surprised by this fact. You're right. We should talk to them.
Well, yes. I think perhaps our order of business is we should speak with the miners first, then perhaps Miss Talia's contacts. And then if we come into any trouble, we'll speak to the mercenaries. Otherwise, we will go and speak with Janazad directly. Does this sound agreeable to everyone?
Makes sense, yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Very well. With the miners. If you would lead the way, Miss Fell.
Absolutely. And she does the weird orienting thing again and then just takes off in a different direction.
Okay, so you are leaving the residence and hitting the streets of Arakeen. Of course, once you get past the moisture seals on the doors, you know, the water conservation is so important on this planet that every door and window has a moisture seal to make sure that no moisture escapes. It is, you know, as I say, water is life and death on this planet. Once you leave again, the oppressive heat of Arrakis hits you again. The sand and the noise when you leave the residence. You begin to hear the hustle and bustle of the desert people. And of course, you are all very aware that you are being watched. Not by any particular sinister figure, but you are clearly not residents or natives of Arrakis. Most people on Arrakis, you have noticed, because they consume a lot of spice, because it's, well, mined here. When you consume a lot of spice on a regular basis, it actually tints the colors of your eyes. And many of the desert people here, you see, all of whom have sun-darkened skin and you know, weathered skin, and the telltale markings of moisture tubes going into their noses. Like they'll have a little tan mark along the side of their face where they have tubes stuck up their nose to preserve moisture from their mouth, from their noses when they're out in the desert. But their eyes are all blue within the center and then a light blue surrounding. And it seems like the older and the more native looking of the people of Arrakis are, the eyes become almost in just full blue. It is quite unusual to those of you from Caladan, where everyone looks, you know, it's a very
normal.
Well, yeah,
when Caladan people look normal, here they look weird.
Yeah.
Appearance and cultural backgrounds, but here this this blue within blue is very striking, and it catches the light quite a bit. There's a scientific explanation for what it does to the capillaries and the whatnot in the eye, but you know, none of you are scientists per se. or biologists or medical doctors. So yes, Dr. Yue, the house physician for House Atreides, he could tell you all about what's happening in the chemical processes and why that occurs, but it's not relevant at this time. And so you go out, you see people in robes, people in still suits. A still suit is a sort of a body suit that collects and preserves moisture. When you sweat, it goes into the suit, and you basically drink your own body moisture through a little tube, so you don't lose any moisture when you're out and about. And you do notice, too, that the people who clearly seem to be Fremen, they usually wear robes over these bodysuits, but also they all have a very strong smell to them of the desert, of sweat, of the rubber and various materials that these suits are made out of. And so that's one thing that you notice too, is the smell of humans and the smell of cinnamon. The spice melange has a very strong cinnamon smell, and you can even smell it on the air a little bit when you go outside. So you're going to go find some miners, am I correct?
Yes, we are going to meet with the contacts from the mining community.
Okay, yes, you find a tea house where miners are known to frequent. Of course, because you know, if you're on a planet where moisture is incredibly valuable and you know, can often mean the difference between life and death, and I'll try not to hammer this home all the time, but drinking alcohol is not that good of an idea because it dehydrates. And so traditionally, coffee and tea are consumed midday by various people. And so you find yourselves in a tea house. It is sealed against the weather. Low ceilings, dimly lit, and you can tell that there's a lot of various miners and laborers and whatnot, some Fremen, some city people, city folk, all mingling here, although not that much. And when you enter, clearly you are noticed because, as I said, you definitely don't look like denizens of Arrakis.
Yes, we look like complete idiots, not dressed for the weather.
Well, I mean, I would assume that, you know, you've had a little bit of a time to adapt, you know. You're not showing up in ball gowns and...
No.
But yes, I'm sure Swordmaster Sin is perhaps regretting his choice of body armor and whatnot. But on the other hand, it's all white. It absorbs less sunlight.
That's true. It is, however, slowly starting to take on an orangey kind of hue.
And getting soggy. Ugh. I think the people over there, I think those are the ones we are looking for, but we should probably order some tea or coffee to...
Yeah.
No, we will not be able to blend in, but let's try.
All right. So it's a matter of a moment to get a coffee service arranged for yourselves, and it will be placed at an empty table for you if, of your choosing. The place is down to probably just about a quarter of capacity because it's midday, and most of the people here are not working. They're not currently working.
I think we should take a table somewhere where we can easily talk to people. Talia, would you, the one over there?
Yeah, I take a look and then strike towards the table where there's lots of people around, to the left, to the right.
Very good.
Marcus is going to take a quick look at the miners, just sort of assessing what weapons they might carry on them, like even if they've got mining tools or the like, just to kind of like keep it in his head.
All right. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This is part of your training, threat assessment. You come into the room and literally within, I would say, 5 to 10 seconds of looking around, you have a very practiced assessment of who could be good in a fight, who is carrying weapons. You see a few hands shift towards blades under robes. Most people on Arrakis will probably have knives. That is the most common hand weapon in the Imperium. Possession of a laser pistol, a laser pistol or a laser gun is reserved only for nobility and elite troops. And there's another type of a gun called a Mala pistol, which is basically a dart firing gun. It's spring loaded. And somebody might have those, but generally it's the kind of thing that only criminals carry. So
anyone who's kind of so anyone fiddling with like a belt knife or anything like that, what I want to do is I kind of want to have almost a silent exchange with them, where what I'll do is I will push my jacket aside a little and show the hilt of a very long-hilted Harkonnen dueling blade with the crest emblazoned on its edge. Not a knife. Sorry, not Harkonnen. What am I saying? Atreides.
Whoa!
A spy!
Like, oh no! The gig is
not a very subtle one, is that?
To be fair, every single time I've been trying to commit the name Harkonnen in memory, and now it's just in there. It's just stuck. All right. So, I'll need to be careful with that. But yes, it's an Atreides.
A couple of people lock eyes with you. They're clearly sizing you up as well, and then they go back to their drinks. But also, you notice that their body language got a bit tense, like to the point where they're within their sphere.
Yeah, great. I'll close my jacket back up and then walk to the table.
All right.
I see my contact among the spice miners? Is that person somewhere here, or will we have to?
Well, I can just tell you. Is this somebody you would know about, or somebody you've arranged or spoken with before?
It's just marked down on my starting assets. I guess it would be a person that I might have had written contact with before, but probably not seen them. Just maybe seen a picture of them and memorized it.
Okay, actually, yes. I forgot we were speaking about a character. It's a woman named Sarita, and she is, in fact, there. You know, in fact, this is why you came to this particular...
Good. So once the group has sat down and Marcus has done his little bit of posturing and everything is taken care of, Shira just makes an inviting gesture over to her contact, and she has also ordered another coffee or something for her.
All right. Sarita looks a little like taken aback at being called out, but she separates herself from the few people she was talking to, and she sort of swaggers over a bit of, it's clear she's putting on a bit of an attitude, or perhaps as part of a show for the people in the coffee shop or the coffee house to maybe let them know that she's not necessarily a servant of yours, She pulls up a seat and sort of sits with her body language implies that she's trying to come across as being very casual. And she says, what can I do for you, distinguished off-world guests?
Greetings. I am Shara Than, working for the House of Atreides, and my companions are Swordmaster in Training Mokassin and Talia Corral. And I know that you have knowledge of the spice mining facilities and the general workings of the trade on the planet. And as the people tasked by the Emperor, and now we have been tasked by the Royal House of Atreides, to take over controlling, and she's basically searching her brain for the correct word. You can hear slight ticking basically in the background. working and facilitating that everything runs as smoothly as possible, I think it would be wise to take the advice of someone as you.
Well, she says I'm flattered, but I'm no informant. She says the Harkonnens were cruel. They, their fellow, the beast Rabban, he felt that the best oil to grease the wheels was blood.
Blood is not oil.
He said he hunted Fremen for sport. He was a cruel man, and he exerted he used violence as a means of inspiring the workers to produce. He said, and here in Erekeen, we were spared the worst of it, but the people in their city, Carthag, and she gestures in the direction of that other city where the Harkonnens were centered. She says they endured far worse than we did. But she says, yes, I know about spice mining. I know the sands that we, sift through. I can tell you which harvesters are the best, who you should probably examine and talk to. And I can tell you who's looking for work and who should be hired if you're willing to pay me for that.
We are absolutely willing to pay for important information, and these are all things that we will need to know. And rest assured that the House of Atreides has ordered us not to rule with a cruel hand, and it is also not something you should do in the long run. Every study that has been done shows that workers will be more efficient if you give them incentive and not try to pressure them. But I digress. I'm sorry. We are not looking, as you said, for an informant, as in looking for wrongdoings or points to put pressure on. We are not, right? She looks left and right to her companions.
Not yet.
I have no plans. No, what we are looking for is a general idea. I would not put it past the people who have been oppressed as such to maybe not turn a blind eye, but not immediately report if things go missing. And if someone would try and make the money needed to get out under the hand of someone as Rabban by letting some spice slip through the cracks, I would very much think that this would absolutely not be normal, I think. So what we are just asking is if these things happened, or if the net of the Harkonnens was so tight and so cruel that it was never even possible. We do not want to know who does it or anything like that. Rest assured, we just want to know if it happened and if we should expect this to happen.
Yeah, at this point, she sort of looks around the room a little bit, sort of seeing if anyone happens to be listening in. And she leans forward and she said, so much spice slipped through their fingers. It drifted into so many places. So much was set aside, both by the Harkonnens themselves, spice harvesters that were not on the register, smuggling caches buried deep out in the desert, mysterious stops where carryalls were diverted, and of course, ships that seemed to leave the surface flying up to highliners before anything or at the last minute and then vanished. Yes, there was all manner of smuggling happening on this planet.
That is good to know.
I'm not betraying any secrets by saying that.
Still, it is very good to reassure ourselves of the truth of any information. Do you perhaps know anything about a woman called Janazad?
She looks a little careful, and she says she's a stone merchant, runs a quarry down on the false wall to the south. She seems to be doing quite well for a stone merchant.
I understand.
Her estate is surprisingly well kept, and she says this very carefully, but she says she has a bit of the water fatness on her. And to somebody from a desert planet, you notice most of the people of Arrakis are pretty thin. They have like very little extra body fat. And so for somebody to have like a little bit of flesh is generally considered to be implying that they are, like drinking too much water, or, basically taking resources that they're not conserving resources. And on a planet where everybody is paying attention to how much water is consumed, and you've seen water merchants on the streets, selling just dirty water in little bottles for crazy amounts of money. So you realize that for her to say somebody has a bit of water fatness is definitely, it's an insight.
I think I understand. I will leave you with Talia and Marcus for a moment. I'm just... And she just steps away to make room for Talia and Marcus to talk with this woman as normal people do. Because she knows maybe her way of questioning might be a little bit weird. So she makes a little gesture that basically says to the other ones who know her, back in a few minutes, please get some information by using emotions and the things you do. Blah. Go ahead. And just goes over to the bar and talk to someone there about coffee or anything.
All right.
Marcus will abstain for the time being, as he is currently looking in what could only be described as despair at this brown sludge that he can only imagine people call coffee.
Oh, yes, it is thick and very, very...
Yeah, it's basically, I'm imagining kind of the consistency of gritty yogurt in a cup.
Not really yogurt. It's definitely liquid, but there is a lot of grounds in it. If you've had like Turkish coffee, it would be very similar to that. Like incredibly strong. And as a matter of fact, you can imagine if you have any experience of the great market in Istanbul, that is a very similar experience to walking through Eric.
That's actually a lot better than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, it's really strong, but good. It's actually quite tasty.
Very good. Then that leaves me to do the chit-chat. Well,
she looks a little suspiciously at you because you definitely don't look like somebody of noble birth. You're not fancy like the other two.
No, a bit more down to earth. So, business going well. That's good. Good to hear. We just came back from a little chat with one of the guys who's going to be running operations here, and we've heard a lot of bad things about the previous reigning house. Seems to be quite a tough time. So I don't know, do you have any experience with or did you have any particularly bad experience with them, or did any others, you know?
She laughs a bit dismissively, and she says, everyone on this planet who encountered the Harkonnens had a bad experience with them. I dare say it might be easier to try to find somebody who she says it would be impossible to find someone who would speak well of them. Unless, of course, they were afraid of being killed.
Of course.
They were monsters.
Well, let's hope things will get better from now on, right?
He says that's what your propaganda people seem to be telling us.
Well, from what I've heard, my honest true opinion can't get much worse than it was, so...
Spoken like a true Fremen.
I think you're in for a treat.
Yeah, she mutters something in language you don't know, and it's clearly some kind of a blessing or something, and she raises her cup of coffee for a toast.
Oh, I got a toast with her with my coffee then. What Cheryl tried to say is, I know you don't want to rat anyone out, and it's nothing like this, I can assure you. But if you would happen to know someone who was running a little side business, know what I mean? Or who knew someone who could have done that, we are currently looking to actually liaise with a person like that and to offer them a very lucrative trade deal, not punish them at all.
All right.
As Talia says this, Marcus immediately looks at his empty cup and says, time for another, I think. And I'm going to take the paladin away from this situation.
All right. Sarita, she looks a little sort of put on the spot by that, and she says, why don't you come back in a few days, and I'll see if I can ask around and find some people that you might want to talk to.
That would be lovely, really, because we're not about punishing anyone.
Right. She says, so you say, but I'll ask around. What manner of special services or arrangements are you seeking?
Goods, vanishing or transportation of goods. Discreet transportation of valuable, very valuable goods.
She says, on Arrakis, there are only a few things that could be, and I think you might speak with your friend Azad. She can probably help you out.
Very good. That is very helpful indeed.
Okay. Do you have anything else you would like to do here? And now I'm speaking in Game Master voice. Is there anything else you would like to do here, or shall we proceed to the next scene?
No. Once Shara notices that Talia seems to be done, she comes back saying, everything is taken care of. Just
all right.
Marches them out.
Okay.
Very good.
So then we cut to the next scene, which I will also, looking at the clock, we have about 50 minutes, so we should keep in mind how much you want to accomplish here. And whether you will go straight to speak to Mr. Azad, or if you will continue to look around and investigate opportunities.
I think
there is no wrong answer there.
I think we've got so many clear signs that Azad is the person we should talk to.
Talk to her, yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of glowing
plot arrows.
Oh, yeah. Arrows pointing at her.
Exclamation mark, that's very
I think another thing is we can go back to our contact and also say that, we'd probably also be viable to spend as much resources mining spice to try and meet the quota as to having people going around literally just looking for these caches, given how much of it supposedly is still just on planet.
Also, one more thing. We can run longer if everyone is okay with it. So basically, from our side, that's
okay. I can't run.
Fine.
I can't run very much longer. So.
Yeah, I was just saying if someone wants to, we can, and I just would put it up with every one of you. Well, so let's go to Janazad.
All right. You find yourself at John Azad's estate. It is on the edge of town, and as you can imagine, it's a sort of a walled building. And it is surprisingly nice. There's some beautiful stonework. It's actually some effort has been made to beautify the place, which I guess if you're a stone merchant, you should try to make your residence a bit of a testament to your work. Basically, you can gather from what you know about what she does. She basically mines the big, huge slabs of stone that are brought into the city, and they build everything with. So there are many stone merchants, but she is one of the most successful. And although you're looking at her estate, it does seem to be really quite nice. And as I would say, as a criminal and as a mentat, the two of you could look and say, yeah, I don't think the economics of this exactly match with her standard of living. And Swordmaster, you immediately notice that she has a fairly significant number of guards on the place, and the location seems eminently defensible.
Immediately, I want to try and find as many exit points potentially as possible as we enter the compound.
All right, you are shown in some guards there. They clearly have pistols under their robes, and which is very obvious to you, if not to your others. And they are clearly people who, mercenaries, off-worlders probably, who have gone native, and they basically show you to a nice hall in this big fortified house, and high ceilings, polished marble floors, even some plants, which is kind of amazing because that's something you really realize. Maybe it's something that you just sort of put out of your mind, but when you actually see green plants growing, it suddenly, takes you a little bit back to Caladan, and you realize how long it's been since you actually saw a living green plant.
Wow, I never thought I would be that happy to see a little potted palm tree.
Yes, and at the end of this hallway, you see a desk, a slab of ruby-colored quartz, and there is a chair. It's empty behind it. There are no papers upon the desk, no indication that this is anything more than a decorative place. And there are some leather, very comfortable seats in front of it. 3, in fact.
I have the feeling she's been waiting for us. Informed about who we are and that we are coming. So,
what's our approach, general approach? Do we threaten her? Do we try to play it nice? Do we go in with a bit of force, try to persuade her with numbers, make her a friend?
Now, I would have had this talk before you got
there. Not in front of the door.
So the mentor will go for let us show strength, but clad in gentleness. So start off very friendly, and if we then find out that she's trying to play us or anything, we can show our determination. I think there will be several steps of escalation, but in the worst case, yes.
Right.
All right.
Do you take the lead on escalations?
I think Marcus should take the lead on escalations.
Well, Marcus, you sense a door has opened in the room.
Because, a door has opened in the room.
Yes, a concealed door, and from behind there are some curtains on the wall. Somebody steps out. She actually emerges behind you, and you see a woman. She's got some very comfortable desert robes, slightly form-fitting, and she seems to be older, probably in her late 50s or so. Her eyes are fairly dark blue, and she has her robes. They seem to be patterned after desert robes, but they are not. They're made of filmier fabric, and there's a lot of gold ornamentation on her that would be highly impractical for somebody going outside. and she has a very open knife at her sheathed at her belt. But it looks decorative, you know. It's not a combat knife. It's something that somebody might pick to show that they have strength, but they have every assurance that they will never have to draw it and actually fight with it.
I will stand and bow.
All right. She says, so you have come, the new masters, come to meet your subjects. I'm Jan Azad, and she extends her hand.
Sharathel, and no, we are not the masters. We are working for the House of Atreides, and we are here to gauge the situation. And
but of course, she smiles. Here, come, and she leads you to the desk and gestures at the chairs. You find yourselves almost in a strange bit of deja vu. Just not that long ago, you were sitting facing somebody from the other side of a desk, although the situation is obviously much, much different. And she basically claps lightly, and very quickly some servant comes out, a woman. She is also clearly a Fremen. She's carrying a tray with 4 crystal glasses on it, which have rose-scented water, and she hands one to each of you.
Thank you, very generous of you.
Yes, and she leans back in her chair, sort of appraising you. I think waiting for you to speak.
Just before anyone drinks from it, I'd like to sort of maybe inspect it to see if it's poisoned.
All right.
That would be a welcome.
Okay.
I'll as Sarah's like lifting it to her lips, just 2 fingers on the lip of the glass, putting it back on the table.
All
just
right.
Smell first.
Okay, so then, which drive do you think that you would like to invoke here?
That's an excellent question. I will invoke my truth, as I'm trying to uncover the truth of whether or not she is deceiving us or trying to in some way... well, obviously there's kind of an influence involved, but if she's trying to do it through chemical rather than flattery and...
Well, yeah. So it would be truth, and then the skill would be understand, for basically perceiving something that you don't perceive. So the total is a 13. You don't have any focus that would be particularly relevant to that.
Yep.
But, and I don't see any of your traits that would be particularly useful for that.
Well, I am cunning. And as a cunning individual, I think it is rather cunning to be looking for poison.
Okay.
Not bad.
I'll give you that. Why not? So throw an extra die when you do.
All right. So I need to get under a 13. Oh, nice. Okay, I got a 1, a 2, and a 5.
Ooh.
Okay. Wow.
Nice.
So the 1 is, in fact, that's basically 3 successes, or technically 4, because a 1 counts as 2 successes. So you not only determined that no, there is no poison in these cups, but from the looks of it, this water is clearer and probably more carefully refined, quite the opposite of poison. It's in fact a higher quality water than anything you're probably going to drink elsewhere on planet. The other thing that you are noticing is that she's actually slightly proud of the water itself. Now you've got 3 additional points of what we call momentum. If you're familiar with 2d20 system, these points you can spend on things like additional information, or you can sort of store them and use them for later rolls. They'll deplete if you don't use them, though.
I will store it for the time being.
Okay. So, and the thing that's cool is everybody else can also draw from that momentum if you make a skill roll while they're happening. And basically what'll happen is you've now got 3 points of momentum. I'm going to type that into our little secret chat window.
I'll then nod to Sarah and then take a drink of Gara, sorry.
Okay. Yes.
I will take the water.
Yeah. Azad says to you, that water comes from the polar ice cap. It hasn't been thawed specifically, or she says thawed for me, frozen there for over perhaps 1 million years.
You have quite the reach for a stone merchant.
I get around. I do quality work.
Hard to imagine ice on a planet like this.
There is ice on the polar cap, yes. Very small amount, and quite precious.
We are here, as you probably can guess, and as you already knew, that we were coming to talk to you about transportation and about the situation of the trade on Arrakis. And we are very willing to help people who are ready to help us. Since the situation we find ourselves in, trying to get the trade and, of course, the spice production and everything back on track after the House of Harkonnen left. What I'm trying to get at is if anyone was willing to help us out to get the production, or at least the proliferation, back on track faster, we are willing to show our thankfulness.
Well, she looks at you, carefully appraising you, and you can get a sense that she's also thinking, much like a mentat would, about what to say, what to risk. And she says to you, I understand that there will be a lot of rebuilding, and working with the Atreides for some of that, and being your exclusive provider of stone and stone work, my masons, my carvers, and my providers can meet all of your needs. Is that something that you're prepared to offer?
Not for everything that will be going on, but certainly for the more important buildings.
All right. She says, and she says, you asked
trying to calculate how much of trade she is offering and how important it would be and how much security clearance would be needed to get them to work on the palace and things like that.
I'm going to, just as a GM note, I'm going to summarize a little bit of the way the conversation will go. Yeah. She hints a little bit about the fact that she's, her masons go from the great distance. They bring this high quality stone in, and there's a lot of transportation coming to and from, and sometimes she's had to make some special arrangements based on difficulties. And then that, not always, sometimes she might do people some favors and they might owe her some favors. And sometimes she might learn some things because of the fact that she has to go down to the, across this vast distance to get to her quarry frequently. They notice things as they pass. They see ships, transports coming and going, ornithopters landing, cargo that seems to be going to no particular location. And then, she basically lays it out on the table where she says, so I assume you have heard that I know of a cache. I might know more. I have heard rumors. I have some contacts I can utilize, but yes, I might be able to help you in the means of spice production. Perhaps providing something to help your supply problem at the moment.
Bridge the gap.
Yes, something to get you through what will be probably a very difficult time. Mm-hmm. Shall we talk numbers? Then she basically says, quite frankly.
Yeah. Let us talk numbers. I like numbers.
All right. So do you want to try to just actually, this is the part that the other two of you are probably going to be quite bored with.
Yeah, can I go to the law? Yeah, I'll probably excuse myself to use the facilities and stroll around her palace or something like that.
Okay, you are watched, but yes, they
Go Sloop.
very discreetly. But yes, you get down to the brass tacks of trying to negotiate some amount of money. You've got a bit. How about if we handle this as an opposed roll? I have her. She has a drive and a that would be suitable, and her own. This would be her communicate to basically try to convince you to pay her more. And so you'll each make a roll, and then whoever gets the better success, obviously, is successful. So, Shara, would you like to?
Yes.
All right.
I'm communicate, sure. Probably duty, because I am here as an ambassador of my house, and I will raid our stock of momentum to buy me another die.
Okay. Yes. Then wonderful.
Thank you for looking for. Because I realized that he is very, very sharp and looking for any traps. I am trying to emulate what he did with probably poisoned water in how I treat her words, and try to look for the hidden barb and the hidden tricks in what she says. I've got a 3, I've got a 5, and I've got a 7. This is
all
nice. Those are all successes. Duty and communicate add up to a 12 for me.
Yes. And do you have any focuses that would apply to this?
I don't think so. I've got innuendo. But since we are really openly talking about numbers, there's not going to be much innuendo.
Okay. All right. And actually, as it happens, I roll for her, and I received a complication for her, which means things perhaps don't go quite as planned. The number of successes you got more than beats her total. And yes, she gets a complication where basically there's a point where you mention something about the smugglers, and she twitches a little bit, just a very slight tell, as they would say, and you realize that she almost definitely has a connection with, like an active connection with smugglers. Mm-hmm. And so
then she just keeps prodding that, and dropping little hints like people who do transportation and unusual roads and then things like that, and just pressure her, like telling her, I know what you are doing, so give me 1% more on this, and end up with a nice thing.
Notice the most is that doesn't seem to be a friendly connection to the smugglers.
Oh.
Like there's some tension when you bring this up. And so you get a sense coming away from this negotiation, and you manage to get to a number that each of you is happy with. And it basically leaves the door open for future, like should she somehow get you to this initial cache of spice, seems likely that you would be able to perhaps negotiate for, say, should another package or shipment of spice fall off the back of a truck, so to speak.
I will remember her name. Very good. So at some point we are just going to basically shake hands, put our not put our signatures on anything, because this is all unofficial, basically.
Right.
But we get the information from her where we might find the cache.
Now, Talia, as you are walking around looking for a restroom, a lavatory, I should say. You at one point find a house servant, somebody in a. He comes in from the street, and his he shakes his cloak off, and sand goes everywhere near the door, and he you hear him muttering to a guard, and he said, "Yes, I found them. They'll do it. They'll do the work." And then and then he suddenly looks over and sees you going by, and he says, "Can I help you?"
Yes, you can indeed. Sorry, is that the guard or the servant?
This servant.
Ah, very good. I was looking for the restrooms.
Down the hall there.
Thank you very much. Busy day, is it?
Yes, it's the usual.
Is it? You just seemed rather, I don't know, concerned?
I don't know what you're talking about, he says, and says, is there anything I can help you with other than your visit to the facility?
I don't think you can help me any with that. Thank you. I'll
enjoy
do that myself.
Enjoy your stay at the estate here.
Thank you very much. All right. Is he buckling off? So.
Yeah, he goes off into another down a hallway. It's a fairly large place with lots of hallways and rooms and whatnot. And you notice though that after he leaves, the guard is definitely watching you.
I wave with them, and
he even steps up, and he's like, "This way, ma'am."
Thank you very much. And then off I go to the lavatory. For now.
Yeah, he lets you go, and when you emerge, he's not there anymore.
Yeah, well, on my way back, I'll have another little stroll, see if I can, find anything that was swept under the rug, or hear anything else about the mystery job I mentioned.
Yeah, without asking anyone, you would probably have a difficult time finding anything out.
Do I see anyone who's a weak link? Someone who doesn't seem very happy with what they're doing, or maybe someone who's young and gullible?
Well, you could make perhaps a roll of your I guess it would be truth plus understand or communicate if you want to ask around and see. You can...
Yeah, I could do truth because I definitely want some information, and I would use communicate, which I have an intimidation focus. That's why I was asking for a sort of weak link.
Okay. All right. You find very quickly, you find the woman who brought you the rose water. Seems to be running around with a basket full of cloth, either laundry to do or things to fold or things to deliver. And she sort of walks by with purpose, and you almost startle her from where you come out.
Oh, my dear, do not be alarmed. Can I speak to you in private for a moment? It is very important and in your very interest.
She looks a bit uncertain. I should really be getting to my duties. I have many things to take care of.
Just a moment. This is of great importance, and I can assure you the new masters of this planet will be very pleased.
Oh, she seems a little surprised and curious, and so she says, she steps over to an alcove that has a bit of a curtain hanging over part of it, so it seems likely that you won't be spied upon by anyone. And she says, "What are you hinting at?"
So, what I'm implying, and I'm going to be very open with you because subtlety is not my strength. If you help me, you will be in good standing with whoever runs the show here. If you don't, I'd rather not speak of it.
All right. Do you want to make a roll?
Yes.
So basically, here's the thing, and you've still got a point of momentum floating around, so, or a couple of points actually.
Yeah, 3 we do.
All right. So, yeah. Now, if you are using your intimidation, this means that any dice that is a 6 or lower, because your communicate is 6, is also a critical success.
Yeah, I would. As I said, I'm not very subtle, so I'd probably go with threats. And I would borrow 1 point of momentum, maybe.
All right. So 3 dice.
Yeah, 3 dice. We have 4, 15. That's not, but the 4 should be good, and the 3.
Oh, so both the 3 and the 4 are both successful. You achieve basically, each of those is worth 2 successes. So you actually achieve 4 successes with that roll, which is staggeringly high. Yes, you in fact get her to the point where she says she's willing to talk to you. She
Good choice.
Clearly afraid of her work situation, and she's looking for any allies outside of the Azad estate.
Very good. Be our eyes and ears in here. We know there is some shady business going on. We're not interested in stone at all. We're more interested in the transportation of other goods away from the city, sort of secret stashes. I don't expect someone in your position to know exactly where or what, but what I do expect you to know is what's going on in this house. Who might know? Who might we approach or watch to learn more?
Well, she, you can tell from looking at her that she's definitely a Fremen, like one of the desert dwellers. Her mannerisms and her appearance, she's a lot more sun-darkened, much tanner, and she speaks with a little bit of an accent. The galactic language is Galak, and hers, it's clearly not her native tongue. And she tells you that, yes, Azad's transports frequently move more than stone from place to place. And she has many allies that come and go with secrecy.
I see. Thank you for being honest with us. It's really appreciated, and I'm fairly sure future arrangement of communication will be very beneficial for the both of us. Okay. If you ever need anything, just let us know.
All right, she will do that, and she assumes that she can reach you via the residence at the Atreides estate.
That is correct.
Okay, so then we at this point. Basically, Azad offers to take you out to one of the one of these spice caches that is concealed near her quarry. You can tell Shara Fell that this is a bit of a test, that she's undoubtedly going to feed you perhaps a small fish and see if you want to do business, if you're appreciative enough, that she'll feed you a larger fish.
Then Shara is going to say yes, even if Marcus probably sends her and gives her the stinky eye for just going along with her transportation and everything. But
okay, now she tells you that she will pilot you herself in her ornithopter to show up in the morning at her estate again and bring still suits. She thinks they won't be necessary, but anyone going into the desert without a still suit is a fool.
Fine. Then we will see each other in the morning.
Yes.
Now, where is Talia? Gone off to Talia?
I'm really sorry. I got lost on my way to the facilities.
Well, it is a grand estate.
It is indeed.
And she beams with a little bit of pride, and she says, I will see you then in the morning.
Until then.
Thank you for your hospitality.
Okay, and you are escorted out of her estate. Not necessarily herded out of it, but there's clearly a bit of sort of, yes, the sort of social broom is brought out, and you are urged forward with it.
I will update my companions about the information I have obtained so that you know what I know.
Interesting.
As the guards take us out of the estate, I want to kind of just cast a wary eye on them, just a number of them, for 3 basic things. The first is if any of them seem to be wearing any piecemeal armor or equipment that would be identifiable as Harkonnen in nature, whether they've got an insignia underneath a wrap or something, or a bracer. The second thing I want to look for is a particular march or gait. As a soldier of the House of Atreides, I imagine that I would know the same soldier's march of a Harkonnen soldier versus
absolutely.
Obviously. Yep.
Yeah, you fought Harkonnens. You undoubtedly have fought Harkonnens before.
Yeah, and the third thing I would like to look for is if there's anything like, obviously, like the suntan for the locals is an identifying feature. If there's like an eye color or a particular cultural feature that might be relevant to the Harkonnen, I want to kind of be on the lookout for that.
I think
among the guards.
They are pale and a little bit flabby.
Yeah, well, and another thing is a lot of Harkonnens have red hair. That's one of their just signature traits. Is a lot of them seem to be redheaded.
Yeah, so I'll look out for these particular features among the guards as we're being escorted out. I won't bring any attention to it, just more.
All right. How about if you make a roll of I'm going to look at your character sheet, which I have copies of here. This would probably also be your truth and battle.
Truth and battle? Okay, so that's a 14.
You're definitely looking for military sorts of information.
Yeah. I'm also going to burn one of the motivation...
Momentum?
Momentum, sorry.
Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, so just to keep you, I realized I wasn't keeping track or relaying. You earned 3 when you were in the coffee house, 1 depleted when you left, and then Sharafel and Talia each used 1, so that puts you at 0, but then Talia earned 3 new ones, so you have 3 fresh momentum. It's almost as if you spent them.
Okay. All right, so that is a 7, a 3, and a 2.
All right.
We are rolling so well today.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Christmas.
I'm really glad that these are coming out before my D&D game later on today. So,
Yeah, roll all the little ones.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've basically got 3 successes. 7, a 3, and a 2. All of those are awesome. You don't really have a focus that would apply specifically to this task. So, but 3 successes is plenty. You notice that one of them definitely seems to have trained, if he's not Harkonnen, he's at least trained with Harkonnen. It might be that he was a mercenary who worked with them. And then you notice even that his at his belt is a Mala pistol, and it's clearly of Harkonnen make. They are very, in addition to their spice mining expertise, they are a heavy industrialized society, and their home planet of Gedi Prime is basically one gigantic factory world, and they produce a lot of things, including weapons.
I'll take very, very clear note of that particular guard, but because my primary objective at the moment is to protect the group here, I won't bring it up until after we're out of the compound.
Right.
So I guess we're just going to throw all our information in a pot after we've left and went to wherever we are stashed away. I don't know whether we are already in the palace complex at the time or wherever we are.
I will let you decide, or we can... well, let me tell you, actually, something happened. You are on your way back. You're passing by the souk, the great market that makes up one of the center areas, and along a street that is probably about the best route to get back to the governor's mansion, but it does take you outside of a bit of the crowd. I would like Talia to make a roll of her truth and her understand.
Yeah. Does that trigger my focus?
Yes.
It does. I thought as much.
What kind of focus do you have? No, I have to look it up.
Danger sense, danger sense, danger sense.
And you can make a, you can spend a momentum if you would like.
Oh yeah, I would like that, just in case, to not botch something up towards the end of the evening. What do I actually have? Yeah, 2 7s. Lucky me.
Wow. So, neither of those, the 7s, is a critical, but you achieve 2 successes. So you notice that several fellows, they're all men. They are in robes and they look like city dwellers of a particularly thuggish orientation.
Ah, good boys.
You notice a couple of them sort of move behind you as you enter this section of road. This narrow street with high walls, and another couple of men come around the corner and as if to block your passage ahead of you. Now you see this happening in advance, so you can divert if you want, but you definitely realize that they're there to maybe just to ask you some questions or to try to sell you something. Who knows? But you definitely get we are being targeted.
Okay, so is there any shop that we're going past that seems like we need to take a closer look now to make sure we would have an explanation for turning left all of a sudden?
There are a few stands here and there, baskets and some fruit, some various types of fruit that somehow managed to flourish on this planet. But you notice too that the merchants are extremely nervous. Like as soon as you even look at them, they sort of give you a.
So don't come to my shop. Don't come to my shop. So I would like to alert, if possible, I would like to non-verbally alert Marcus to the situation, who's probably not felt it yet.
No, this is kind of cool because the Atreides, they're such amazing tacticians that they actually have a battle language that they have developed. That a lot of it is hand gestures, almost sign language, where you can basically signal to Marcus easily in this battle language, and he would recognize like ambush. And in a matter of a millisecond, Marcus, you count the number of guys, you realize that they are indeed all carrying knives and are ready to use them. Hands are under robes. They're a little bit breathing heavy, as if they've run, and you realize they've probably been trying to flank you and maneuver themselves into a position ahead of you.
You're muted, Marcus.
Thank you.
Okay.
If I was looking at the people who were flanking us, which side seemed to contain the most exhausted members?
No one is exhausted. More like a light run. It's just these are clearly people who are in good fitness. But yeah, it's clear that they've just like sprinted short distances to try to get ahead of you.
Okay. So who would look the most tired of, like for example, if the people in front of us look fresh, or the guys behind us look?
The guys behind you look fresher. Okay. Because they were probably, they sort of closed the gap on you, whereas the other people ran up ahead.
Cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give the signal for Talia and Sahara to
it's still Shara,
stay close.
Fine.
I'm trying to get it, okay? But you're Australian. We don't say anything right. You're Sarah. Be grateful.
He's worse than me.
Just be grateful I haven't called you Shazzy yet, all right? Anyway. Sorry, look, it's late night. Okay, my Aussie's slipping out. Okay, so
You're Aussie slipping out of your budgie smugglers.
A little bit. All right, so Marcus is going to give them a signal that we're going to turn around to the ones that are approaching from behind us, and we're going to just basically try and run through them. Yeah, the logic behind it is the guys who ran to what was effectively our front are a little tireder, meaning that we probably have the stamina to outpace them. Okay. Is the hope. So, whereas the two, if we can dispatch the ones immediately next to us that are fresh, it won't be as difficult to get away.
All right.
Can I signal? Let me go first.
Sure. Yes, and
that's my signal for. Okay.
Shara very clearly signals, "Please do anything you can. I'm a bad fighter."
Right, and if let me see. I think I've got a bit here. Yeah, if you are working with somebody, basically just add a dice to them. So what I think we'll handle this in a very abstract fashion because that's basically the way this game works. So your goal ultimately is just to escape them or elude them, force your way past them, and get out without incurring risk yourselves, correct?
Much risk, a little risk. I mean, if it's a little risky, it's more fun, but
okay.
But not too much risk.
But Marcus is the one who wants to kind of, sort of take the most risk, I guess.
Yes, well, two of you are highly competent when it comes to fighting.
I just want to play it dirty, really.
Okay, so basically then I will let Marcus be the one to handle this. What would your drive be for this?
That's a good one. Probably duty, my duty to protect the others.
Absolutely, and this is definitely battle. So the two of those together are a 12. Now, I'm looking at your character sheet, and your Swordmaster trait is clearly in play here. So add another dice to that. Okay. So basically, you'll be rolling 3 dice. You still have 3 momentum. You could always...
Could I use these... Given the nature of the plan, could I also get the strategy focus?
Sure. So what that means is that any roll under 6 becomes 2 successes.
Ooh. All right. Sweet.
And now, oh wait, no, I got the numbers wrong. Your strategy is 6. I was just looking at the correct character. And Talia, what are you doing?
So I would like to even his path out. So I got a battlefield that is called Dirty Fighting. Yeah. So I would literally, on a planet with a lot of sand, right? I'd literally throw dirt at them. Okay,
cool. So yes. So I will. I'll let you roll. You can roll with your own. I would say you probably are trying to roll with power. Basically,
yeah, makes
rolling
sense.
Power in battle and using your dirty fighting as your.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I've got an ability that says that I can attempt to use threat or increase the threat to generate an additional d20.
Yes.
And when I do that, I'm allowed to re-roll a single d20 in that pool. Can I invoke that?
Well, what would mean is you would take an extra dice and give me a point of threat that I can use against you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'll do that.
I'm totally happy. I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
That would answer a question from the chat whether this game works with threat as other 2d20 do. We know, I've learned that. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a one shot. What's a d20 system without threat?
So you're basically rolling 5 dice, I think.
5 dice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or no, wait. You're rolling 4. Sorry, my bad.
4. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So I've got a 1, a 2, a 6, and I would like to re-roll my 13 that I got.
Okay.
Which is re-rolled to an 8.
All right. So basically the 1, a 2, and a 6?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, since all 3 of those are under your battle, that's 6 momentum, basically 6 successes, which is absurd. I'm going to roll for these guys as a group, and I would like Talia to roll.
Yep. I shall. Bear with me. It's just... Oh, yeah, that's a 2 and a 4.
All right. Great. And you're using your dirty fighting.
My dirty fighting, yes. So that is really great.
Between the two of you, you've generated 10 successes, which is superlative. I'm going to roll for these guys as a group. Since there's a batch of them, they're all assisting each other. They will roll 5 dice, which is as much as I feel like rolling. Okay, that is, if only I could show you how dismal their roll is. And these guys are, well, they're criminal thugs, so they're not particularly great. But yes, you know, their combined total is 12. There are 2 numbers, and I only rolled 2 dice under, so they've got 2 successes. But because they all have successes in knife fighting, they actually do get some extra points. So basically, they have 4 successes. You have 10. You pretty much overwhelm them with your strategy and your dirty fighting. So each of you describe what it is you do in the course of this daring, bold rush.
So before I move in, before Marcus, and I don't know, probably try to tie my shoelace while turning around, or look for something very interesting on the floor. And when I come back up, I grab 2 hands full of dirt and throw it directly into their faces, and then give them a good shove.
All right. Yes. Then you know, a couple of them fall back with sand in their faces, blinded. One of them knocks over into a obligatory fall into the fruit display, and pomegranates and plums and dates all cascade across the ground, and a man yells in dismay as his wares are scattered. Just for dramatic interest, I'll have Sheriff L. You were not participating in the action. I'm assuming you're just allowing yourself to coast by and let the actors take care of the active one.
The only thing is what she's going to do is when she sees an opening, she's going to book it. And I guess that's going to be power and move, which are very bad.
Okay.
Numbers in her case.
There is a lot of momentum generated, which you can...
I just rolled 2 dice, and I've got 1 success and 1 complication. I've rolled to 20.
Okay, so you actually... you get a success, you break free from them, and then you realize that you're actually lost. You turn down a corner, and you are like, where are they? And you think, you were so
unfair. Why do they rebuild the souk every day? This is stupid.
Well, you were reliant on the map in your head that you very carefully memorized on Fedor's desk, and so you were trusting to navigate via that. And then when you got there, you realized some of these walls are new, and you're certain there was a wall there, but you ducked through it as a doorway, and so you found yourself a little bit cut off.
Yes.
Now Marcus Sin, Swordmaster, Atreides Swordmaster apprentice. What happened?
Yes. So as Talia throws sand up into the face of the 2 in front of us, Marcus turns his attention very swiftly to those in pursuit as well. I presume that in the soup there's a lot of like overhanging tops and the like. And they would have anchors in various locations.
Yes.
So what Marcus would do in an act of like kind of a mix of like parkour and swordsmanship is step up to one of these anchors and rotate a horizontal slash, sort of cutting loose some of these cloths before kind of landing between the 2 guys that Talia has thrown dirt, in order to kind of bowl them to the side. Using the kind of top to kind of land, I guess, and create a bit of pandemonium, and then guiding, hopefully Talia, and then looking around and not finding, like, where has she gone?
Perhaps they grabbed her.
I'll tell Talia that I have to go back for Saharfel, and
Still Shara.
Shara fell. I'll get it right one day. That's okay. Right at the end of the stream. I've got to go back. I have to go back for her. We'll meet up at the governor's abode.
All right then. Yes. And then we might as well just cut to the governor's residence. Very shortly after, Talia, you're there waiting, and you see Sharafel and Marcus Sin come out of the souk. Both of them a bit dusty, but very much alive and unconscious.
I do not understand how people can actually find the wares they are looking for if they rebuild the tents any time. Then some spot, a map would have been very helpful in this case, and now so she tries to argue that it's actually not her fault.
It happens all the time to normal people. Now you get a little bit of an idea how it's for us every day.
I used to be normal, thank you, and I'm very glad I am no longer. So, who were these people, and why did they try to cut us off? And
now, does anyone want to spend a point of momentum on additional information?
I guess we could.
Yes.
All right, yeah, because you got a bunch, and we're going to wipe scene, so...
Yeah, let's throw it out there.
So, spending a point of momentum, you realize that one of them definitely looked like his robes looked newer and cleaner than, like he'd put it on recently, as opposed to everyone else who pretty much lives in their robes. And he definitely had that same body language as the guy you felt was probably a Harkonnen mercenary, or somebody who has trained with them in their style of fighting. They favor a very
I believe the ones who followed us were Harkonnen, or at least studied with them.
You reckon?
Yes, the way they moved. The way they conducted that ambush. It's a Harkonnen strategy I've seen more than once.
So you think they want to have a foot in their own foothold? Never mind. This is too complicated.
I think they're looking for any opportunity to ensure that House Atreides fails, even if that means their representatives have an unfortunate accident with the locals.
All right. Unfortunate accident. Maybe they just wanted to talk and we went a bit rogue on them.
Could be.
Yeah.
All right. So then, what's your next course of action?
go someplace safe to spend the night.
Oh, well, I mean, you live at the residence, so...
And then I guess we can cut to the next morning unless something unfortunate happens during the night.
Did we want to talk to the governor and just let him know about the deal with the miner and the deal with the Jan? Oh.
Yeah, it will not be bad.
Yeah, whoever we should report to, we should report to them.
That's your thing, right? Reports.
Yes.
So yes, the lieutenant commander that you spoke to earlier, Fedor, he's sort of temporary administrator for the Atreides here, handling all just the high level, like soldiers and whatnot, and the defense and securing of the place. You report to him. He seems very interested, and he arranges to have 3 still suits prepared for you. And so, yes, a still suit manufacturer comes out, and he has them summoned pretty much in the middle of the night. And the guy shows up, and he informs you how to wear them and how to fasten them. These are they look a little newer and a little more less how should I say, less bespoke than the ones that you've seen the Fremen wearing. These are a little more mass-produced. But yes, they hug the body, keep everything. I mean, your fingers are bare, and they go all the way up to the neck. There's a little tube that comes around, hangs over the ears, goes up your nose, which is not terribly comfortable. And when you're out in the desert, you're generally supposed to wear a mask over the lower half of your face so that your breath doesn't cause too much evaporation, so that you don't lose too much moisture through your mouth.
By the way, for some reason, Eevie just turned completely green in my Zoom screen, and so she's now being keyed out.
Excellent. I will rejoin. I will have to rejoin, I'm afraid.
Oh, you got
the green bug.
Ah, okay.
Oh, I didn't know there was a bug. See you in a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right.
Good. So we've been outfitted with still suits.
Yes. Quite cool. Oh, and now Marcus has vanished.
No, he's just been pushed over to a space in between.
All right.
Everything. Once Eevie's back.
Okay. We'll sort of put the gas on things and finish up before too long.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sip a little water in the meantime.
Just that we're not. Placeholder.
Hello, placeholder Michael.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, I guess we should. Eevie is rejoining, so I can kick placeholder Michael out.
Okay. There she is. Yay. Oh, but...
Bye, Michael.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Great. So then the next morning we cut to the dawn. It is at the Azad estate. You are escorted in. There are a few of the guards are watching you quite carefully at this point. They actually, very expectantly. But she greets you, Azad. She's got a still suit on. And it looks to be a Fremen manufacturer. With some robes over the top of it. And she gestures to you at an ornithopter, which sits out on a landing field. It's basically a airplane that has flapping mechanical wings and engines built into those. Very low on fuel burning. So they are the most common form of flight in the Imperium for ground, like on a planet's surface. You take ornithopter. And so she takes you up into the air, and you fly basically over the North Pole, skirting it a little bit. You go, and she gives you a little bit of a guided tour as you fly. You go across what is called the Imperial Basin, which is a big, lowered area, almost a valley. The Shield Wall, which is this massive stone foundation that protects, seems to be almost a protective barrier against the sandstorms. And you can see sandstorms raging below you. You're up pretty high. She takes you over an area called the Minor Erg. And off, far, 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 to the, it will be to your, it'll be to the north or to the right of the direction you're flying. She says that the North Pole is in that direction. As you go, she points out an area against this long bluff, and you can see looks like a quarry built into there that's just carved into the stone, and workers are already slaving away. This flight takes a couple of hours, so if there's anything you want to ask her about or any conversational gambits you'd like to act on, now is your chance.
Shara just wants to find out whether she actually knows her stuff when it comes to stone. And I guess she does.
Oh, yes.
Just so she doesn't feel stupid when she sold her basically the rights to rebuild Arakeen.
Oh, no.
And then she turns out to be a fraud.
No. She's actually quite competent, and she's quite a skilled hand with an ornithopter as well.
Very good.
She's not a bad pilot.
Are any of the gods with us?
Two are sitting sort of in the back compartment. You're up in the front.
Are either one of them the guy I recognized from yesterday?
No.
That is all.
Good.
Okay. Yes, and they don't seem to be paying you that much attention. Now, she flies you along a little narrow valley and into an increasingly difficult bit of maneuvering, and then she finds a large flat area and sets the ornithopter down in the desert, in this big flat section of a valley, and she says, "It's over there," and she points across the desert a little ways. Yes, although there's valley walls up surrounding. And she tells you, of course, all of you walk without rhythm. The sandworms come when they hear rhythm, and in a valley like this, if one comes, will be doomed.
Walk without rhythm.
Yes, take irregular steps. Like, don't walk just thump, thump, thump. Like, take big steps and little steps, pause a second. Very carefully to make sure that you don't create sort of a rhythmic sound, because for some reason that carries quite well, and sandworms will encounter, they'll hear that through the sand. You would have been warned about sandworms. Sandworms are massive creatures, several 100 meters long, 40 to 60 meters wide. These gigantic serpentine creatures that basically move underground throughout the sand of Arrakis. They eat like whales do, just scooping up vast amounts of sand and filtering it, consuming any nutrients left in the sand, and then excreting it later. The Fremen are said to worship them like gods. And of course, when you're like a 400-foot sandworm, maybe 60 meters across with a mouth that can swallow a small building, who's to say they're not gods?
Yeah, you're not going to discuss it with them in any case.
And anyway, though, you make your way to the a place where there's a very is almost concealed section of stone, and she reaches and pulls down what looks like a tarp of sorts that has been cunningly stiffened and painted to resemble stone, and there's a doorway that goes into this cliffside.
It's not that well hidden. Fine. Let's take a look.
Well, you wouldn't have noticed it if she hadn't led you directly to it. And yeah, the two guards, they both take up positions on rocks nearby, and they signal to her that they'll wait.
Marcus or Talia, which one of you wants to go first? I don't.
All right, I'll do it.
All right. She hands you, Zod hands you a light, a little glow globe.
A glow globe. That's supposed to make me feel better. All right.
It glows and it floats. What
It
more
is
do you want?
beautiful. Yeah, okay. I'll go first then.
All right.
Try to do as instructed.
Yes.
I'll take up the rear.
Okay. You do notice, though, as you enter, the two bodyguards are definitely sizing you up. They're absolutely, just like you were giving them the appraisal, they're definitely doing the same to you, watching you very carefully. I would say like a hawk, but that's the...
It's the Atreides symbol of this.
That goes without saying.
I'm watching them like a hawk.
Absolutely.
We're used to it. We're being watched like hawks all the time since it's such a thing in our house, right?
Yes. Now, Talia, I would like you to make a truth and understand roll.
Is that by any means a dangerous sense roll?
Why, actually, not... Well, tell me what you roll and I'll tell you.
All right. I'll have a go at this. I have a 9 and a 20.
All right. So there's a point where you're moving down. 20 is a complication. That means something less than desirable happens.
Okay.
You definitely realize at a certain point that you might have hit a microtrip, like a monofilament wire, like as you've entered. Like very, very thin, just basically super, it's called Shiga wire in the Dune universe. Super, super thin. It's not monofilament like it's going to cut your foot off or anything like that, but you definitely get a sense that you have triggered something. Like a little invisible tripwire. You know, it's so thin that you can't even spot it. But you realize, like, you get the slightest sensation of a tug on your foot, and you look down and see what looks like a little snaking wire sort of in the ground.
Well, now that I know of that, I would signal that I tripped an alarm, unfortunately. In silent special hand speak to Marcus.
Okay.
Does anything immediately happen?
No.
Like the sound of moving stone, or?
Nope. Nothing seems to happen immediately.
Marcus will make his way and move up the front.
All
and
right.
take point.
The first thing that hits you is when you go in, you're going down a little bit. You're entering this sort of cavern that's roughly hewn, but has clearly been made by people with stone cutters. And as you go further down, you know, it gets cooler and cooler. And then there's a certain point where you are hit in the face with this rich smell of spice. Like just, it's thicker than you've ever encountered it before, even in the market. Like raw, unrefined spice. This is the... Is that even through the mask and the breathing apparatus? Yes. Wow. I mean, you're practically smelling it with your eyes. You know, it's
We're imagining the smell.
Yeah, yes. It's this super, almost a mix of cinnamon and cardamom and with a little bit of a spiciness to it. And you can smell it through your nose plugs. It comes in. Yeah, the mask, it catches moisture, but it doesn't prevent like smell from coming in. And yeah, in the dim light, you see what look like small bins, probably about 1 meter square to each side, with handles on them, and they are just stacked haphazardly all over this sort of a long cavern with several other passages leading from. There is a fortune in spice here.
I was sure she would lead us to a smaller cache than this.
It's quite a lot. She looks, she says, I came through for you, right?
You absolutely did.
You'll remember this.
I literally cannot forget this. And I will not.
All right. So what are you doing now?
Well, Shara is going to walk along and just count, basically, how much is there, what markings are there, and to calculate how long we can pretend to produce spice by selling this off.
Consider that spice production involves literally hundreds of spice harvesting units, big truck-sized things driving around the planet side, scooping up sand and filtering it, looking for spice. And so, you know, what you have here is probably the equivalent of several weeks worth of production. So it's not like enough to change the fate of the household and buy you a planet or anything, but it's certainly enough to make up a serious gap in their the ability to hit the quotas that the Emperor is doing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Shara is happily busy and disregarding any kind of danger that might lurk here.
Okay, but one of you doesn't really disregard danger. Talia, I'd like you to make another roll. All
right.
choose and understand, and this time I would like you to absolutely
use
the danger sense roll. If you'd
use
like to,
danger sense.
you've still got from the previous thing. Once we subtracted everything, you've still got 2 momentum. That you can use.
Could I assist with that?
Absolutely, or you can make a roll on your own.
Yeah. Can I take 1 momentum? Is that all right with you guys?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
I'll just make my own roll.
Okay.
Let's do that. So that's 4, 8, and a 17.
That is a 7 and a 19 for me.
Okay, so the 4 counts as a critical success.
Oh, it does, right.
Because your danger sense, you have a focus that is equal to your skill there. So you get, Talia, you got 4, 8, and a 17, if I heard you right?
4, 8, and 17, yeah.
Yes. So the that's 2 successes with the 4, 1 more success with the 8, and 17 is not a success. So 3 successes for you. But still quite good. Marcus, how are you?
A 7 and a 19, so I've got 1 success.
All right. So yes, you recognize, you can hear the sounds of movement from one of these tunnels nearby.
I will immediately move into stealth and try to hide among the spice barrels.
All right. And you notice as well that, I would say Talia, actually, you notice that Azad is fading back towards the doorway, the way you came.
Is she?
He is.
Well, is there any way to stop that fading?
Oh, yeah, I would say you could try either a battle roll, or you could just grab her. You could spend a point of your momentum and just position yourself to say, no, one of the effects I get with my momentum is I stop her.
Yeah, because I have the feeling she knows what's going on here, and we might not see the light of day if she leaves us at this point. So yeah, I would like to do that, please. Just make sure that I think I would pretend that we are keeping her safe.
All right.
Have her close, make sure she doesn't get hurt in this.
Okay, you step towards her and are doing this, and then you see she has a pistol in her hand.
Oh, well, that's not a problem at all.
Yes. She, in fact, she's trying not to, like, point it at your face, but she's definitely got it leveled at you, you know. And
okay.
She's, like I say, trying not to be obvious about it, but she's definitely got a gun in her hand, and it is kind of
It's not very subtle, is it?
He's not.
Okay.
Well,
I have a question. I have this one funny thing where I can remove enemies' assets.
Yes.
Would such an asset be a pistol?
Yes.
Oh, remove her assets.
Yeah. So, is there any chance if I do a very, very dirty attack, like kick her legs and push her arm up, so if she shoots, she doesn't shoot me in the face, that I could potentially, with a clever turn, could remove the pistol from her?
Absolutely. I'm going to, that'll be an opposed roll, basically. I'm going to roll for her using her her power and her battle to try to overcome you, and you can use hers. I've got a few points of strength. I'm even going to buy her another dice because...
Yeah, I don't have any momentum left now, do I?
No.
No, great. I love it.
So let's see how she does.
Okay. Oh, my dice went AWOL.
Oh, no.
Yeah, 1 moment.
Okay.
Okay, 1 out of 5, and the other one is unfortunately a 19.
All right, she actually rolls spectacularly well and gets 4 successes. And so there's a certain point where she you try to maneuver her, and she ends up just like disappearing. Yeah, she evades you. Like you come at her, you try to jujitsu her, or you do some sort of a dirty fighting sweep, and she just steps out of the way ridiculously fast and is gone a moment later.
That didn't just happen, did it?
Like, she moved quicker than, like, she might have ducked down. It's dark. The little glow globe that's sort of the suspensor light that's sort of following you casts a lot of really stark shadows. So she could have just vanished anywhere. Meanwhile, we turn to Marcus Sin. What are you doing? You found a place of concealment?
Yeah. So when I vanished, did I see Jan do that? Like, also disappear?
You know that there was some sort of a scuffling back there, and then yeah, you can look back, but you didn't see her go. With 4 successes, she manages to just vanish.
Okay. I'm going to, I guess, ready myself that if anything, be it her or whatever that noise is, tries to make a move on Shara or Talia, I'm going to leap into action and defend them.
Okay. Shara, what are you doing?
Counting still. She probably didn't notice this because she's very focused on calculating how.
Yeah.
Yes, hyper-focused on all the worth that is stuck here, and she tries to find any numerals or stuff, anything that would tell her when or how this disappeared. But it's not important right now. I guess important is that she's got her nose very close to any script or anything on the boxes.
Yes,
and
you're
doesn't
almost
look around.
oblivious to the danger surrounding you. Perhaps at Thufir Hawat, of course, is a Mentat assassin by trade, and so he would never have this happen, but that's not your field of expertise.
No.
You're more in analysis and logistics. Yes, Marcus, you ready yourself. You hear numerous booted footprints coming, and it's men, or at least humanoid. You can hear some muttering in Galak, but you can't quite make out what they're saying. And but just from the sound of things, they seem to be moving almost with a military style, like move a little ways, provide cover, others moving forward, etc. And they're converging on you very fast.
Can I get roughly numbers just from hearing the footprints?
You think that at least 6 men or women. Actually, men and women, as it
now,
happens.
Logistically, what would be my capabilities of defeating, say, 6 men?
You are a sword master, a Atreides-trained sword master. Duncan Idaho, who has personally overseen much of your training for the past few years, is considered to be one of the best duelists in all of the Imperium. You could quite possibly take 6 men. Another thing you have that they don't is you have a shield belt, or a shield emitter, as I should say. So basically, this provides a sort of a bodily force field over you that can stop high-velocity weapons. Like if somebody fires a gun at you, it'll just bounce right off.
So what I want to do is I want to start making my way. I'll sort of hand signal Talia, because I didn't want to necessarily hide from them. I wanted to conceal myself from the
right
things from there.
Yeah, I didn't think you were like crouching under a barrel or anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell them to stay together and to look out for each other, and that I see I hear 6 men coming through there. I want to stealth down that corridor, and I'm presuming that they also have some sort of orb that is illuminating for them. My plan is to this is just an assumption because I haven't seen them yet.
No, you don't see any light shining down the corridor.
Okay.
And I'm gonna guess that they're probably making their way by feel.
By feel, like by vibrations, or
or just feeling the walls. and or they could have just night vision goggles on.
Okay. I want to try and, again, just stealth into the dark and have them lured towards the orb that we have, and then start my attack from the darkness.
All right.
But I want to do it after they move past me, so that they're casting silhouettes against our own light, if that makes sense. Okay. So if they look at me, they'll be looking at me against the darkness of the chamber, and I'll be looking them against the light of the room.
Okay. All right, then. So basically, this will be another opposed roll. And this is, once again, we're just going to scale this combat. You are, keep in mind, you are a badass swordsman. If you choose to activate it, you have a shield that will prevent you from anything but slow-moving. Like somebody could press a blade against your shield and push it through, but any high-velocity attack is going to just vanish, or explode against it. Oh, so why don't we make some rolls then? So you're going to basically just launch yourself at them, and
after I position myself. Yeah.
Right. But from a key position. All right.
Correct.
So this would be, which drive are you going to utilize?
I'm going to go with justice. These foul Harkonnen bastards have set up a dishonorable ambush and are trying to impede the rightful owners or new masters of this place. It falls upon me to serve them a taste of righteousness and show them the error of their ways through cold, hard Atreides steel.
Okay. So then you will be rolling, and I would guess that your dueling focus will come into play. Your drive, justice is a clean blade. So you're going to be rolling 3 dice. There is, do you want to spend some threat to add some extra dice to your roll?
Oh, I think I'll leave the first round without that. Okay. But we'll see where we get.
All right. And I'm going to make a roll for them just as a collaborative.
All right. So that is a 7 and 2 11s.
All right. They get, as a collaborative effort, 3 successes, and you get a 7 and 2 11s. That is also a 3 successes. So basically, what 7? Is that under your no, it's not under your dueling. Oh. Yes.
Yeah.
So basically what happens is you're sort of at a stalemate. Neither of you achieves what you want, but you aren't set back any. So basically what happens then is you leap at them. They all like sort of fall back. You can see that they are carrying mala pistols and knives. And they all sort of look startled. The thing you recognize about them quite instantly is they don't look like Harkonnens, and they are dressed in a combination of basically desert garb that's sort of haphazard. They've got still suits on, but these guys don't look like Fremen. And it's a group of men and women, all of them scarred, dirty. They definitely look like tough customers, but they are definitely not Fremen and not Harkonnens.
Okay. Well, I'm going to activate my shield belt if I can.
All right. They all sort of look a bit surprised when that happens.
Marcus will turn to them and say, "Those who value their lives will drop their weapons immediately, for the masters of this place have come to reclaim what is theirs."
One of them says, "Harkonnen scum, we'll give you a chance to live. Others are coming now."
"Who are you calling Harkonnen? I am Marcus Sin, Swordmaster Apprentice of the House of Atreides, apprentice to Duncan Idaho himself. You dare call me Harkonnen?"
"How did you find us?"
"We were led here by the quarry smith, Jan Azad." Who are you, and what are you doing in this place?
They all, at this point, they kind of seem to be assessing things. And the one of them, he's, got his gun pointed at your head. And as soon as your shield comes up, he's like, well, this is not going to work. He stands back and puts his hand up, not surrendering, but sort of doing a, hey now, okay, just de-escalate this a little bit. And he says, we're smugglers. Jan Azad has been stealing from us, raiding our wares, our caches. We set a trap for her. Is she with you?
She is in the next chamber, but if you are the smugglers, are you not working for the Harkonnens?
He spits on the ground, which is a big deal in a place where water discipline is so important. But
I'll shoot my sword when he does that.
Yeah, he's so disgusted by that. He says, we would happily bathe in Harkonnen blood. Oh, wow. Now it's green.
Hey, yo, everybody. This game of Dune was brought to you by the letter G.
Oh, dear. All right. So anyway, we're all getting a little loopy here. They basically say, she's been robbing from us. Is she with you?
She is.
Can Shara by now notice what is going on?
Oh yeah! Suddenly there's a bunch of guys with guns pointing, and
I'll accompany them. I'll walk with them. I'm curious. I'll walk along with them. I'll even go so far as to deactivate my shield belt to show them where Azad happens to be, because truth is so important to Marcus. There's only so much blind eyeing I can turn.
Okay. Well, when you get outside, you realize, you actually see the ornithopter spinning up and heading off into the sky as fast as possible. And the man, he turns to you, and the one who seems to be the leader, he says, we thought we'd had her. We've been feeding rumors of this location for a while, hoping that she would bite. So, you're with the Atreides, are you?
Yes, we are indeed, as Marcus has already told you.
I suppose you need transportation back to Arakeen. Laughs.
Probably. Well, I guess you see yourself as the owners of this cache of spice.
We earned
Am I
it,
right?
if not honestly, through hard work.
We could... I see us coming to... We could probably negotiate about the worth of this to the House of Atreides and the worth of your safety, and maybe a secure job in transport and spice production in the future.
Let's talk, he says. And I think that's a good point to sort of fade to dark.
We will talk.
All right. So why don't you tell me then what your goal will be for this situation, for this negotiation, and then we'll just put some dice on the table for each of you to determine how well you succeed in that.
Then just basically just for the last act, Shara would want them to probably hand the spice over to the House of Atreides for a just tiny amount of the sum that it would actually be worth, but they are not going to be slaughtered by Marcus right here. They are not going to be tried as smugglers.
Well, hearing their story, Marcus wouldn't be interested in slaying them brutally. In fact, he respects the fact that they believe that this is theirs because of the hard work they put in. seeing their scars and their hands and stuff gives him a strong sense that they have worked themselves to the bone for this under the cruel rule of the Harkonnen, and what they need isn't sort of a corporate look or even a firm hand. What they need is hope. And Marcus will suggest a plan. He wants to reopen the mines, and he wants to offer a legal job for anyone who would want it among the smugglers and the rest of their people. In addition, he wants them to continue smuggling, or at least supposedly smuggling, because what he would like is the Harkonnens to believe that the Emperor is getting less than the accurate quota.
Okay.
So we want to create an Atreides cache for ourselves, so that when the quota eventually comes and the Harkonnens are busy celebrating the fact that they have managed to stop our production, we've got a group of smugglers who have been flying the rest of our supplies under the radar of the regular trade, that the Harkonnens already know what's happening.
That is so very clever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so,
let's do that. Let's do that one.
Well, then, I mean, since we're wrapping up, I don't think there's any real need to roll. So you, through some careful negotiation, perhaps a little bit of hard arguing about money, you discuss this. The smuggler leader, his name is Jevon Sull. Actually, there's no reason to type it. We're wrapping up. And yes, he says they've known of Azad for a while. She worked with the Harkonnens, collaborated with them. And she is no friend of theirs. She and her enterprise raided some of their own locations. She would basically unsold to the Harkonnens, who confiscated it. So they are happy to do business with the Atreides. Obviously, they are probably not going to be the most honest of business partners because, smugglers. But they will happily work with you in what you would consider to be a win-win situation for everyone involved.
Very good.
And so
I like win-win situations.
Yes. And
they make mathematical sense.
Right. And as for Azad, what would her fate be?
Oh, she's going to be tried for endangering the life of Fisher ambassadors, or whatever we are.
Envoys,
yes.
Oh,
that's the least we can get her for.
Oh, and definitely for collaborations in Atreides space with Harkonnen insurrectionists.
All right,
definitely that one.
Okay, well, I think that you are able to resolve things to a certain point that reaches some sort of satisfaction. She prepared when your forces siege her estate. They managed to take her prisoner just before she was planning on fleeing to Carthage to try to book passage off planet as quickly as possible. But it doesn't work out for her, and you manage to basically confiscate her business and add it to the Atreides portfolio. Fedor, who sent you on this trip, is eminently pleased at the results you achieved, and tells you that he will definitely commend you for your results when your respective mentors arrive. And so, well done.
As a little bit of a side thing, I would also like to take a bottle of the rose-scented water to keep aside for Master Idaho when he arrives.
Oh, great. Yes, he's a fairly rough sort, but he will enjoy it quite a lot. So excellent. Well, I'm going to wrap us up at this point. Hope we didn't do too far in messing up anyone's Christmas Eve with going into future plans. Thank you for staying up, Marcus. Michael.
Michael, that's Marcus.
It was my absolute pleasure. It was so much fun.
All right. Well, the game, I think it's on pre-order now. It's selling like hotcakes, so that's pretty cool. I always try to make sure everybody knows this. The real secret agent on this particular project is Andy Peregrine, who is working like a mad dog as the line manager. He is coordinating everything, seeing that everything gets done, pushing everything forward, and doing it all with aplomb. So I act as sort of a dilettante editor. I come in and be sort of like, well, let me look at this and look at this. But Andy is the real man who is the manpower in this particular engagement. But it's still been a pleasure. And it's been a pleasure running the game for you guys.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry we kept digging in the scenes and doing everything. I wish you a really, really lovely Christmas evening. And what I have to say is thank you for game mastering. Thanks to Eevie and to Michael for staying up or getting up early, which way around it is, whatever, to play with us. And this game, actually discovering that you were working on this game and seeing it at ModCon, made me dive back into the Dune universe. It's been a while since I've read the books last, and I just kind of rekindled that love affair with this universe and with the storylines. And just seeing now with a little bit older eyes how much all of science fiction since then owes to this series of books. Yeah. And how it's just one of the big mind-blowing moments in my literary adventures, and when I read these as a teenager, that was a big thing.
For me, my only experience with Dune came from the very old video games. Yeah. So this was back before I even touched role-playing games in general. And a really, really old movie that I could barely remember because I was a child when I watched it. And all I remember was, isn't that the worm from Beetlejuuce? No, it's not. It's something else. Oh, yeah, it's
no, the worm from Beetlejuice is the worm from Dune.
This is what I thought. And I was just like, yeah, but getting to play in this world and getting to see it firsthand, man, it's so much more nuanced than obviously young Mike gave it credit for. So definitely looking forward to picking up this game and running it around my table at least a couple of times. So
cool.
Lots of fun.
Yeah, when you actually create a game and run it as a campaign, you create your own house and you decide their assets, and there's a whole level of gameplay that involves the strategizing of what your house can do. There's a whole political game happening, and the crazy thing about the system is that all of your stats, like as a sword master, you can use your stats to roll for a fight, like a one-on, you can jump in and fight with 6 guys and probably win. Or you can say, all right, I'm going to send a troop of soldiers against a Harkonnen secret base on this particular planet, and you don't have to be there for that, but you're rolling the same dice to see how your expertise and your guidance of them works. So the idea is that the game system scales from the sort of nitty-gritty agent level play to the grand house level play, where you sit around and talk about, like, okay, we're going to make a play against house, this rival house. And when you create your house, you can even create a rival house for you as one of the ways you can sort of create your house and create some drama from the get-go.
And I kind of get the feeling that we need to create a house at some point. An Orkenspalter house with an owl insignia or something like that. That's gonna happen.
Definitely.
All right.
Very good. So,
want to play at Heinz Con.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Very good. I say we are going to let you go to either bed or celebrate Christmas or be with your families. And I wish you absolutely lovely holidays. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you so much. And now I'm going to get the people in who are waiting for the next bit of the stream.
Thank you so much for running this. It's been a blast.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.